Hi, this is Phyllis, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be my Mish Mosh stretch bangle. This bracelet is Mish Mosh because we do a lot of bead weaving techniques and a lot of component making. We're going to do a 3-point prismatic right angle weave along with right angle weave and herringbone, and then we're going to do some stringing. And if you like what you're seeing, then stay tuned for the materials list and we'll make this project together. Thank you. The materials for today's project are, I have an 11-0 seed bead here, and this is Toho, and the color is matte peach coral, and that's the permanent galvanized finish. And I'm going to use some Mayuki seed beads. These are 11-0 seed beads, and they are the 24 karat gold finish. I'm using some mini duos. Mini duos are exclusive to Potomac Beads, and the color is white teal luster. I'm using some 6x8 check rondelles, and these rondelles are absolutely gorgeous. Cranberry and amber and possibly opal or dyed turquoise here, but they're absolutely beautiful. I'll use some 6mm fire polish beads, and the color that I'm using is Shadows Halo. I'm going to be using my some peanut beads, and the peanut beads are, the color is, let's see, pull some of these down. The color of these peanut beads is antique gold purple luster. I'll also be using, for my tools, I'm going to be using, of course, my beautiful XX large bead mat station by Julie Modillon. And I'll put the direct link to this bead mat in my description bar. I'm going to use a size 10 beading needle, my nippers. I'm going to use a 4-pound FireLine today in the crystal color, and that's for making the components. And I'm going to use a 0.7mm stretch magic. And that's it for materials. You're going to need about a yard of thread to make the components. So I'm going to start off by cutting 1 yard of my FireLine, and we're not going to use our stretch magic until the end, but we're going to start off using the FireLine, cut off 1 yard, and we will prepare to make our first component. We'll begin by stringing on one of our mini duos and 4 of our seed beads. And we'll bring these down and tie a knot. And you don't have to choke the knot, just give it a double knot here. And pass your needle into these first two seed beads. Now, once here, now we're going to string on 6 seed beads, and that's because we're doing 2 seed beads per side. And pass the needle back into the 2 seed beads where we're exiting, and we're going to reinforce. I want to reinforce per side, 2 seed beads each per side, to try to make a formation, but It's not really, I don't know, it could work, but right now we just want to get to the PRA part. PRA is similar to right angle weave in that we're doing four sides per unit, but we're only doing 3 base unit. So I'm doing the 3-point PRA. All right, so here's where we started. So we're going back into those 2 seed beads, and we're going to advance our needle into the next 2 seed beads here. Well, after we pick it back up, right, into these 2 seed beads here. All right. Now, I'm going to nip this tail off. Or I'm just going to sort of take it down. All right, now we're in position to make our new side. So for here, I already have this side here and this side here. So we need 4 seed beads because we are making 2 sides and we're using 2 seed beads per side. And we're going to just pass our needle right through all 4 of those seed beads. And we are going to reinforce this connection. I'm going to come in back into those 4 that we just added and back into the 4 that were already there. And we are going to advance into the bottom, back into the hole of the mini duo where we started. And into the 2 seed beads here on this side. We're going to push our mini duo up, and we're going to pass our needle into the open hole, the top hole of that mini, and we're going to pull that. And once there, we're going to pass our needle into these 2 seed beads here. And back into the bottom, or the bottom hole of the mini. And the 2 seed beads on the side here. And then we can turn it on its top, and we will pass our needle, continue to advance to close up the top. So we're going to continue to advance through these 2 seed beads here. Then these 2 here. Back into the top. Boy, just fiddly. Back into the top hole here of that mini duo. And we have to go into the following 2 to close that unit up. But before we do that, we need to add our next mini. So we're doing that by stringing one seed bead, one mini duo, and one seed bead. And we're going to pass our needle back through that many in that top hole. And of course, we're going to have some tangled thread, because that's what I always have when I'm trying to teach you something, some tangled thread. Isn't that right? All right. Now we have this here, but we have to continue passing our needle through those top seed beads in the back in order to finish closing up the connection. So we're just going to go right back here and pass our needle through those two seed beads in order to tighten that up. We had to we had to interrupt what we were doing. We had to interrupt our reinforcement in order to add the next mini duo. So this is what we have right now. We have our bottom here and the mini and the two sides, the other two sides, and we have it here and here, and there's like a point right in the back. So that's what we're doing. We instead of making a 4-point unit, we're making a 3-point unit, but each of the individual units have 4 points like right angle weave. So let's continue. So it looks like we have a mess going on right now, but don't worry, we'll fix that. So we're going to make the next units, the next sides. So I'm going to do that by stringing on 6 of my seed beads, because we need 4 sides. We already have one side. That's where my thread is exiting these 2 seed beads. So we're going to go back into those seed beads with our 6 seed beads in order to make a side. I'm going to pull my thread and I'm going to reinforce. Now this is where we can reinforce each side. One side every time. I wasn't getting caught on this when I was working this out, but of course I have to get caught on it because the camera is here. All right, so that was the first side. Now I'm going into the top or the second side or even third side, because we already started down here. That was the first side. Now this is the fourth side. We pull our thread and then back into the 2 where we started, right there. Now we need to advance, and I moved that out of the way so that you could see. If you hold your work like this is where we are. If you hold your work with your mini duos sitting up on the top like that, that's where we need to be. But now I need to advance my needle into the next base unit by passing through these 2 seed beads here. And now I need to make the next side, so I'm going to string on 4 of my size 11 seed beads, and I'm going to pass my needle back into these these 2 seed beads here and into the 2 seed beads where my thread is exiting. and we'll pull my thread, and it will set up for us. See that? And I'm going to reinforce this while I'm here. That's what you want to do. You want to reinforce the sides as you're working them out. And back down into the two where we started. Then I'm going to get that knot. I'm going to turn this so that you can see where we are coming out. We are exiting on the side of the mini duo here. Right now we are going to ignore that single seed bead right here, and we're going to go back into the bottom of this mini duo here. We are ignoring the seed bead here, and we're going into the bottom of the mini. And I have to hold my finger there so that the work doesn't come undone. And I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to show you where I'm coming out at the bottom, this bottom hole of the mini duo. I'm just going to pass my needle into these two seed beads here, then into the top hole of the mini duo, back into the two on the side here, and back into the bottom hole of the mini, and I'm turning it so that I can show you here. Back into the bottom hole, but ignore that single seed bead. Right? And once here, now, okay, let me get back into position. Once here, you're going to go back into these two seed beads on the side, pass your needle up there, and then we are going to make a solid unit here by, well, we have to connect these beads on the top to make this unit. So I'm going to pass my needle through this seed bead, these two seed beads, these two seed beads, back into the mini, but before we can finish off by going back here, we need to have a simple interruption by stringing on a seed bead, a mini, and a seed bead, and passing our needle back into this top hole of that mini. Tightening down on our work, and then we can fix that unit by going into those two seed beads just like that. Now we are in position to add another unit of walls, and we're going to do that by stringing on 6 of our seed beads, and passing back through these two seed beads where our thread is exiting, and reinforcing that unit or that wall, and advancing our thread, our needle through, because we reinforced that wall. Now we need to go into the next two units of, the next two seed beads of the base. And once there, we're going to string on 4 seed beads and pass our needle back into these 2 and these 2. So we have the 2 beads per side that we need, and then we're stringing on 4 more seed beads. So that's 4 sides, and we're going to pull our thread, and then we will reinforce that side, that wall, by going into those 2 seed beads, these 2 seed beads, these 2 seed beads, and these 2 here, and we'll continue by passing our thread, needle and thread, through the bottom hole of that mini, making sure that we ignore these 2 single seed beads. And once we get here, we're going to go into these 2 seed beads here on the side, right there, then into the top hole of the mini, back into these 2 seed beads here on the side, into the bottom hole, into these 2 on the side, and now we have to connect these 2 with these and the top hole of the mini. So we're going to go into these 2, these 2, the top hole of the mini, but we can't cinch the side, cinch the unit here. We can't go into here yet because we still have to add a mini. So we're going to do that by adding a seed bead, a mini duo, and a seed bead. And we're going to go back into the top hole of the mini duo, and then we can cinch our unit this way. And you're going to continue to do this. We're going to do like 5 seed beads, 5 minis. So you continue until you get to add your 5th mini on, but whenever you get ready to cinch up the 5th mini, complete the side, the unit, you don't add a mini. You'll just have 5 seed beads. It'll look like this. It'll just look like this. And your thread, you'll have your thread exiting here, but you will not have to add on another mini because we're going to do 5. Actually, or you can do as many as you want, but I'm doing 5 for my component. All right, and I didn't cut my thread off of this one yet because I'm not quite sure if I need it yet, but I didn't cut the thread off. So you continue to do that, and when you're done, your top unit should be cinched up by you going through these top seed beads there. Okay, and I'll see you when you're done. I completed my mini duo component, and I have my 5 little mini duos in there, and I've been so tongue-tied. I've been calling mini duos seed beads and vice versa, but we are done. And my thread is exiting here, the top here, these two seed beads that are, I finished tightening up the component by passing through these two seed beads. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it around and work away from myself. I just want to make sure that all of my beads are where they're supposed to be. Okay, now with the thread exiting these two seed beads, what we're going to do is to go right in a right angle right into these two seed beads here. And we're going to do our stitch in a ditch. I'm going to string on an 11-0, pass through the next two. Okay. String on an 11-0, pass through the next two, and don't pull tightly. Just put that seed bead in there. We're not tightening anything. We're just placing the seed bead there. If I can get it to sit in there. Okay. String on an 11-0, and I don't know. Today is the day that I'm just going to have all the bloopers. Pass our needle through the next two seed beads. Finally, one 11-0 seed bead. Pass our needle through the next two 11-0 seed beads here. Now, once here, we're going to string on. Okay, why aren't we sitting down? Okay, once here now, we're going to string on five seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to pull these down. We're going to pull them down to our component, and we're going to skip over the first 4 and pass the needle into the 5th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, pass our needle into that seed bead there and the whole line of the stitch in the ditch, if we can. I'm going to try to do that in one pass and make sure you don't miss any. Well, there you go. All right, so I've got those, and what that's going to do is it's going to sit like this. This is what you want. This is how you want these beads to sit, just like this. They're going to be our bail. And don't worry, we will reinforce that, but we have to add the bail on this side now. And we're going to do that by stringing on 5 seed beads. And we're going to bring these seed beads down. We're going to skip over 4 like we did on the other side. We're going to skip over 4 and we're going to pass our needle into this seed bead. And I'm going to do that today. Okay. And I even ate breakfast, so I don't understand what's going on. All right, and then I'm going to pass my needle all the way down this line. It's easier this time because we've already been through these seed beads. I'm going to pop out this seed bead, that 5th or first one that we added, and tighten up. And so this will tighten up properly because we want our bail to sit like this. We want it to sit like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce all of these seed beads. I'm going to reinforce all of these, pass my needle back through, reinforce these, and I'm going to pass my needle back through a couple of these seed beads here on the spine and tie a couple of half-hitch knots and cut off my thread, and that's it for the mini duo component. We're going to make the rondelle component now, and for this component we're going to use herringbone stitch. So we're going to begin our project by stringing on 2 of our size 11 seed beads, and this I'm using the peach matte coral color in my Toho 11-Os. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a 4-inch tail, something to hold on to, because this could possibly be difficult to see. So what I'm going to do is my working thread is exiting here, and I'm going to run my needle back through the first seed bead that's on here to set these in their herringbone formation. And when you pull your thread, those beads should sit just like this, side by side. Now I'm not going to create a ladder stitch to make this a wide herringbone. I'm just going to do the 2-bead herringbone, and I'm going to continue it now by stringing on 2 of my size 11 seed beads and passing my needle into this seed bead on the right. And pull the thread, pass my needle up into these 2 seed beads here on the left. To continue now, and just make sure that your thread is pulled tightly there. To continue now, you string on 2 of your size 11 seed beads, pass your needle now into this top seed bead here and pull the thread. And pull your needle, your beads down, and then we're going to go into the top 2 seed beads here on the left. I'm going to hold on to the work, making sure that my thread doesn't get caught on something, and I'm going to go until I have 7, a total of 7 herringbone stitches here. So we'll meet back here when you have your 7 done. Now I have my 7, and from here I'm going to string on a size 11 seed bead, and I'm going to pass my needle into this whole line, all these 7 on this side here, and back down into these 7 on the left. Then pass my needle back into that single size 11 seed bead. And now I'm going to do more herringbone. I'm going to continue by stringing on 2 of my size 11 seed beads and passing them back into, pass my needle back into that single size 11 seed bead and go up into this seed bead here on the right. All right, maybe I should have gone the other way, but it's all right because it's still going to work out the same. I'm going to string on 2 size 11 seed beads, and I'm going to pass my needle down into this seed bead here on the top. And then back into these 2 on this side. And then you're going to continue that until you get your 7. So repetitively you string on these seed beads, the 2 seed, actually I should string on 2 seed beads, 2 seed beads, and pass my needle into this one here, and then where my needle is coming out here, that's why we go back up into 2, because that is where the needle comes out. If you go back into 1, seed bead, your thread will cross over from the bottom of this seed bead here up, and it'll be showing, it'll be up on top, and it'll go up in here. So that's the reason why you have to bring it down. So continue till you have your 7. So I have my 7, and I'm going to pass my needle down into the one side of these seed beads, the line of 7, and back into the other side here, and set that aside. Set this little component aside, because this is the one that you're going to have your thread on. So what you got to do those is cut maybe 20 inches of thread and make another strip just like this. And once you have your 2 strips, once you make that strip, you can cut that thread off. But when you have the 2 strips, we're going to combine them and add our rondelle. I have my 2 strips now, and one strip is just like that. It doesn't have any threads because we are going to attach it to the one with the thread. We're going to do this. We're going to begin this by putting these together, and it is going to be fiddly, so just be aware of that. I'm going to start off by taking my working thread from the left side here and entering into the top seed bead of the component, of the strip that is not attached, and I'm going to go back into that top seed bead on the left, and I'm going to go back into the one on the right again, but this time I'm going down into 2 seed beads, just like that. Pull my thread down and enter into the one on the left, into that second seed bead here, and go up those 2. I was trying to keep it facing this way so that you could see what we're doing. Now, with that, I'm going to rotate it just a quarter turn so that you can see that now that I'm going to enter into this top seed bead here. And don't poke yourself. And then I'm going to go the next quarter turn to show you that we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. By this time, we're not going to pass our needle from the top because of our positioning. We're passing it from the bottom. So I'm going to go into, I'm coming out of the top seed bead here. I'm going to go into the top seed bead here on the right. This time now, I'm going to pass my needle down into 2 seed beads. And now up into the 2 on the left. Well, there we go. Here we are. All right. Ooh, sorry about that. All right, so now these are connected the way I want them connected. So from here now, what my thread is exiting this top seed bead here, we're going to do a bail. So I'm going to string on 3 of my size 11 seed beads, and as a design option, you could string on your second color of size 11 seed beads if you want. I'm not going to do that. So my thread is exiting here, and I'm going to go right into the seed bead, the top seed bead right next to it, and pull my thread. I'm going to reinforce that connection by coming across here now on the back. Well, I'm trying to show you because we're not on the side now. We're coming out on the side, but I want to come across the back where I placed that bail, and I want to go up into the top seed bead that's adjacent to the bead where the thread is exiting. I'm going to go right in here and go into my 3 bead bail just to reinforce. So I'm into the first of the bail and pull that tight so that we don't have too much thread showing, into the picot of the bail and into the 3rd seed bead and the top again where we've exited. Then we are going to continue advancing our needle through the top seed bead here again to on the left, and we're going to make the bail for this side. So we need to string on 3 of our seed beads, and our needle is exiting this seed bead here, and we're going to just pass our needle right into the top seed bead and right next adjacent here to it, we're going to add, I'm sorry, not add, we are going to reinforce our bail by going into this seed bead here and into the 3 beads of the bail. So that's the top seed bead. I'm trying to get there. You know what? I'm not gonna hurt my head. I'm going to just go into that one, and I'm going to now go into the 1st bead of the bail, the picot bead of the bail, and the 3rd bead of the bail, and continue advancing until you get here through the 7. And once there, pass your needle into this single seed bead. And try not to get your tail caught up in that. And from here now, we're going to insert our rondelle. So I'm going to string on my rondelle bead, and just, you know, you can let it come down to your work. And from here, what you want to do is your seed bead is exiting, coming towards you on this single seed bead here, and what you want to do is make a circle. So you want to go into this corresponding seed bead on the left strip, going this way just to make a circle. And what you're going to do is pull so that these beads, these 2 strips, bring that rondelle right there in the center. And I don't know why I can't hold on to this, but what we're going to do is we are going to completely attach this rondelle now. So with our thread exiting this way into the seed bead, exiting that way, we're going to go back now through the rondelle and go back into the seed bead this way, so it makes a circle. So you can see the thread here. The thread is exiting this way out to, away from you from this seed bead. So now when we get back in here, we're going to make a circle, and we're going to put that, enter our needle right into that seed bead right there. And it's already reinforced because the thread has gone through this rondelle twice. So this is what we have right now. Now what we're going to do is continue now advancing our needle into these seed beads, and we're going to go up into, not all the way to the top, we're going to go stop right here in number 6. So we're going to go into 6 of these seed beads and exit the 6th one. And don't be too concerned with your work coming apart like that, because once you get here and pull your thread, it's going to tighten back up. It's gonna get right, as we say. It'll get right. You have to just work it, that's all. Now that we are here, we are going to connect our 2 strips on this side. With my working thread exiting this way, away from me on this side, I'm going to pass my needle in towards me in the 6th bead on the left strip. Just that one. And we're going to go back into the one on the right. And again, back into this one on the left. And we're going to rotate the work a 1/4 turn so that you can see what we're doing. We'll rotate it this way, and my thread is exiting the 6th bead, and what we're going to do is pass our needle into the 6th bead right next to it. Just the one. And we'll turn the work a 1/4 turn again so that now it's facing this way, and we're going to pass our needle into the 6th bead on the left strip in my direction coming toward me, just making circles into these to connect them. And again, back up into the one on the right, and just tighten down on it, and then again back into the one on the left, and turn your work a 1/4 turn now, and we're going to pass our needle into number 6 bead and number 7 bead so that we can attach the top. You can come right over here and go into these 2 beads. All right. And from here, doing the top now should be a little simpler. We're exiting this seed bead, and we're going to go into the top here, that top on the left. Maybe I should switch to a size 12, and we're just going to make a circle here into that bead again, and then on the right, and then we're going to go back down now into the seed bead on the left, and we're going to turn our work a 1/4 turn, and we're going to go into this seed bead on the left, and we're going to make a circle by going into the top seed bead on the right, and back into the seed bead on the left, and we're going to turn the work a 1/4 turn, and we're going to go into the seed bead here on the left and up into the one on the right and back into the one on the left, turn a 1/4 turn, and finish that off. This is the last one. And from here now, we're going to make our bail. And you just want to make sure that you have your bail facing the proper direction. So I'm coming out of, I'm exiting this seed bead here on the right, and in order to do the bail properly, I need to be coming out of this seed bead. So position yourself here, and then from here you add your bail. You place 3 seed beads and you pass your needle down into the top seed bead here on the right and reinforce that connection. And then move over to this seed bead and string on your 3 seed beads that you need for your bail. And pass your needle here and reinforce that connection. And you can continue advancing your needle all the way through here if you can. I'm going to try to do it in one pass. And there you go. Get down there. And all I'm going to do now is come back up this way. I'm going to make 1 knot, because usually you can see knots when you make them in herringbone. I'm going to make 1 knot right here where my thread is exiting. I'm going to pass my needle up under, hopefully just 1 thread in there, and pull up a loop. And once I pull up that loop, I'm just going to pass my needle into the loop and tighten down on that. Just to make a little knot there. And I'm going to run my needle up into the rest of these beads. And I'm trying to meet up here with my tail thread. Once I meet here with my tail thread, I'm just going to tie a knot right there between those seed beads. Simple knot right there. Pull tightly, and then I'm going to just move my needle through wherever I can move it through, and right now I'm just going to move it through this one side bead here of the bail, and I'm going to pull this knot again and get my nippers and just nip that thread off. And that completes our rondelle component. So this is what we have, our rondelle component. And now cut yourself another little piece of thread about 24 inches, and we're going to do our spacer component. I've got about 24 inches of thread on my needle now, and we're going to make our spacer component. And we're going to start off by stringing on. Now this time I'm using both colors of my size 11 seed beads, so I'm stringing on 4 of the matte peach coral beads. I'm going to bring them down, and I'm going to tie a knot, and I'm gonna leave about, I don't know, I guess this is, I keep saying I guess, this is about 4 inches of thread on the tail. That's just to hold on to, because you know, when you first start off, things are just, they can be fiddly. That is the word. They're flimsy, you haven't reinforced anything, that kind of stuff. So we're starting off by just tying a knot here, and I'm sure hope I was in camera. I was too busy talking. All right, now I'm going to pass my needle past the knot, just here, and I'm going to now add a gold seed bead between each of these peach coral seed beads. And this is it's coloring it, this little unit, as well as reinforcing it with the contrast color, so, or embellishment color, or whatever you want to call that color. Now, from here now, we're going to enter into the top seed bead, that gold one. And I'm going to string on a 6mm fire polish bead. If I can keep it on the needle, it doesn't want to be strung. All right, the 6mm and a gold. I'm going to bring these down and pass my needle. I'm going to skip over that gold on this side, and I'm going to go right in back into the 6mm. And I'm going to enter into the opposite side of the gold seed bead where we entered into that fire polish. So we're going to go right into this side. I'm going to tighten that down. I'm going to go back in there. Into that fire polish, I mean, and into this well, I'm trying to get in there. Oh, I see. There you go. Sorry about that. Now, what we want is we want this seed bead, the whole orientation, to be horizontal. That's what we want. We really want that here as well. But right now, if it doesn't sit like that, we're not going to worry about it, because we're going to continue adding our bead. We are going to add 4 of our peach coral seed beads, and we're going to enter back into this gold seed bead. I'm going to just flip this around. What we're going to do now is we are going to pass through this seed bead here and place a gold seed bead between each of the peach. And if you think that these peach seed beads look pink on camera, you would be correct. So you don't have to adjust your color on your cameras. Now we're going to advance our needle. First off, we're going to go into the gold. And we're going to go into the pink. We're going to skip over that next gold, and we're going to go into this peach and the gold. And we're going to repeat the same thing we did down here. We're going to add our, well, I know I had one here. Oh, here it is. We're going to add our 6mm fire polish and a gold bead. We are going to pass our needle back into this fire polish bead, and making sure that when we go into this gold bead that we're going in the opposite side from where we started to make a circle into it so it can be centered. And then we're going to go back into the fire polish. I got to get some more of my gold beads out in a second. And then we're going to enter into this gold bead here. And we're going to string on 4 of our peach corals and go back into the gold. And what I'm going to do is what I've done. I'm going to pass my needle into the peach coral bead, and I'm going to add a gold bead in between each of those. I just got to get some more of my gold. And here, just pop that in there. We don't have to choke it. We just have to make sure that it sits in there without any gaps. And at this point, the only thing we really need to do is find a place to tie off our thread, and this component can be done. You can, I'll go into this gold seed bead here. And into the fire polish, and only the fire polish. And I will place a loop, make a half hitch knot by passing my needle up under the thread there, and you can clearly see where I'm going with this. I'm placing my thread between this fire polish and this size 11 seed bead, and I'm pulling up that loop right there, and I'm going to pass my needle into the loop, and this time I'm going to pass my needle into this loop twice, and I'm going to pull my thread down, making sure that my knot is going to be placed where I want it, right there between the fire polish and that size 11 seed bead. And when you pull that thread, it's in there. And this is our spacer component. I'm going to pass my needle, advance my needle through a couple of these seed beads and pull down on that, stretch my thread, and cut that off. So I gotta tell you, we're using the 3 components that we made. We're gonna use the mini duo component, the rondelle component, and the spacer component. But I have to tell you something, that when I made my spacer component, I made a bunch. You can make a bunch, and just make a bangle out of these. But what I'm going to do is use the 3 components and just make a bangle. What you could do is make one of these components and then put this on your stretch wire and separate them with the peanut beads or whatever bead you want. But these, my bracelet wouldn't be a mishmash if I didn't have all of these things, because in this video we learned 3-point praw when we did this component. We did herringbone with the rondelle component, and we did right angle weave with the spacer component. So I believe that all of those colors and those components make a sufficient mishmash bracelet. Now the only thing that we have to do is make the number of components that you want. If you want to make all 3 of these, you can. If you want to make 1 or 2, you can. It's up to you. But today's project is about my mishmash. So what we're going to do is get all of the components that you want. My suggestion is that you make a bunch of these right angle weave, the spacer components, because those are the ones that are going to be mostly on the underside of your arm, and you don't, because these are the ones you want to be on the top. So I only have a few of these 2 components because I'm going to make a bunch of these to go around the bracelet this way, and I might even separate one on the top. We'll see when we start putting it all together, because right now I'm still thinking about how we're going to put it all together. So make a bunch of your components, the number that you need, that's going to add up to just about maybe an inch shorter than your wrist, because we're going to put it all together, and we're going to be separating each component with some of our beautiful peanut beads and some more of our 6mm fire polish beads. So get all of your components ready, and I'm going to come back and show you how I'm going to put mine together. I strung my components this way. I started with a spacer component, and I added 3 peanut beads, and then I went to a mini duo component and I put 3 peanut beads. So whatever component I put down, I always put 3 peanut beads in between. So I've got the spacer, the mini duo, the spacer, the rondelle, spacer, rondelle, spacer, mini duo, spacer, rondelle, spacer, rondelle, spacer, mini duo, and spacer. And that's the way I strung mine. You don't have to do that, but if you want to make the bracelet like mine, this is what we're doing. At the end of this setup, I strung a peanut bead, and now we have to make a bail. And the bail is going to be made up of 4 seed beads. I have strung on 4 of my matte peach coral seed beads, and I'm going to pass my needle back into the peanut bead, and all of the beads down this side. When I get down here, I'm going to add a peanut bead and 4 seed beads for the bail on this side, and I'm going to come right back down and reinforce this whole side, and then find a place to tie knots. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom here, and when I am done with that, then we will get back together and I'll show you the next steps. I completed reinforcing both sides of the bracelet, and I cut the threads off, and you see I have my bails here, here and here, and here and here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make a 3rd row, and we're going to put bails on this corner, on this side here in the center, and again on this side here. And we're going to work on the back side of the bracelet. I'm going to turn the bracelet this way, making sure that all the components are upside, well, the mini duo components are upside down. That is the main thing that we have to do, because we want the mini duo component to be showing properly on the upside. I have threaded my needle again with a yard of thread, and I doubled it, and I put a stop bead on the end, and I've got about 4 inches of tail. And the only thing that we're going to do is we're going to start here. We're going to slide our needle and thread into this center flower here in the spacer component and pull the thread up. And this is the simplest thing we're going to do. We're going to string on 2 of our size 11 seed beads, and I'm going to use the matte peach coral for this. And I identify the center hole here of the mini spacer component and just pass your needle right through there. String on 2 seed beads again and pass your needle into the center of the spacer component. String on 2 more seed beads, pass the needle through this rondelle bead. String on 2 more seed beads, pass your needle through the center of the spacer component, and continue doing that until you get all the way to the end. And then what we're going to do is just what we did on the ends. Once you get there, you're going to string on a peanut bead and 4 of the seed beads and come back down. So if you need to see how I did that on the outer edges, you could just back me up a little bit, but it's too simple. And we're just going to continue doing the same thing, stringing on 2 seed beads and passing our needle into the next area, whether it is the center of the spacer component, whether it's through the rondelle, whether it's through the center of the mini duo spacer component. Just keep doing that until you get all the way to the end and place a bail there. Reinforce that line, place the bail down here, and then run your thread through and tie some half-hitch knots. So the top of my bracelet is done. I have reinforced all of my sides and woven in all of my thread ends and cut them off. And so this is what we have right now. And I'm going to now show you how to prepare for the stretch wire portion of the bracelet. So I have 3 lengths of my stretch wire, approximately 8.5, 9 inches long, and I'm conditioning them by stretching them out for maximum performance. And once you stretch them out, they're conditioned, and you can use them just like that. So but again, now we have to learn, you have to respect the stretch wire. You don't want to take showers in those items. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're stringing things yourself and you don't mind restringing. It doesn't matter if you take a shower, but if you're selling them, you might want to caution a customer against doing that, because this stuff will stretch out after a while and it can break. That's one reason why I don't use glue, but that's another story. So to continue, I'm just jabbering too much. I have taken one of my stretch cords and I have strung my beads. I have 6 remaining spacer components from all of my makings, and I did this. I strung on 2 seed beads, a peanut bead, 2 seed beads, and a spacer component, and I kept doing that. 2 seed beads, a peanut bead, 2 seed beads, a spacer component, all the way down, and I ended the same way I began, with 2 seed beads, a peanut bead, and 2 seed beads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the top of my bracelet and turn it over, and I'm going to string my stretch cord into the center bail. I like to start in the middle. And you can do string the stretch cord into both sides of that center, because what we're going to do now is the same thing that we have on. Now this is going to be the underside. So where I have my 2 seed beads and peanut bead and 2 seed beads and spacer component, well, we're going to do the same thing, except for we don't have another spacer component to add. What we're going to do here is the same thing we have going on this side. We're going to string on 2 of our seed beads and, okay, let's see, 2 seed beads, a peanut bead, and 2 seed beads. And we're going to go pass our stretch wire back into the same hole of the spacer bead that we're already in. And what we're going to do is do that all the way down. It's going to take me a long time to pick these up, but this is 2 seed, same thing we did, 2 seed beads, a peanut bead, and 2 seed beads. And we're going to pass our, once we pick those all up, I'm never going to get that. Once we get that, what we're going to do is pass the thread, the stretch wire, back into this center hole here, and we're going to go all the way back up to this side. And once we get here, we're going to tie off. So once I get all my beads on, I'll pop back on and show you how to tie off. I have completed going back into the center of the spacer components. It's very hard for me to show you this on camera because now I had to compress it, fold it, because we're closing it up. But this is what it looks like here. Once you pass your beads, go back through and you add your 2 beads and go back through that center component there. It just, that's the way it looks. It's just like that. And then once I finished all of my stringing on and getting to this side, instead of putting the beads, the additional beads on this right stretch wire, I put them on the left so that when I tie my knot, the knot is going to be right here at this part of the spacer component. So I'm going to tie a knot here now by passing my stretch wire twice in the loop and tightening down on that. And then I'm going to go again, do the same thing. When I make my knots, I'm going to go twice in the loop. And, well, I undid that part. And then tighten down on it, making sure that you're only going in between the beads and not around the beads. And guess what? We're going to do that one more time. Do that double loop there and pull the thread and just pull it until you have choked it. And I'm not going to cut that yet. I'm going to pull my work here so you can see where I am. You can see my 6 spacers and that stretch right there. Okay, now it's very difficult to film this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. What I've done is I've taken a second piece of the stretch cord now, and I put a stop bead on it, and that'll help when you go stringing. When you start, you're going to start by passing your stretch wire into one of these inside bails here, and what you're going to do is, and I don't suggest that you start in the same place where you tied your last knot. I don't suggest you start there. You can start anywhere in one of these, but I'm just going to start down here on the side and pull that through. And what we're going to do is the same thing that we did the last in the center. You're going to string on 2 seed beads, a peanut bead, and 2 seed beads, and you're going to go right into the next spacer component. 2 seed beads, a peanut bead, 2 seed beads. And when you get down here and you come back into this side here, you're going to do the same thing. 2 seed beads, a peanut bead, and 2 seed beads, and you're going to go back into this spacer bead. And then when you get back here to the beginning of it, you're going to tie off just like I showed you. But I can't film that because it's very difficult to see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish putting all mine on, and I'm going to come back on and show you my finished bracelet. So I finished stringing on all of my beads to finish my the stretch part of the bracelet, and I just want to show you that this is where I'm going to cut the stretch cord. You see my knot, and I've tied the knot the same way I've showed you how to tie, and I'm going to just take my cutters and cut right there, and that will take care of the threads. They're on there. Once you tie them and stretch them on, they're on there. And so it now is our completed project, our completed bracelet. This is the underside, the side that you want on the underside of your wrist when you wear it, because it's most comfortable and even. And this is the top side where we have all of our texture and different components that we made. We made a lot of components. We learned a lot of things in this video, and it's a pretty lengthy video. But I'd like to thank you for hanging out with me, because look at the end result. This bracelet is absolutely gorgeous. See you next time.